This thing on? Hey, Miss Potts. If you find this recording, don't feel bad about this. Part of the journey is the end. Just for the record, being adrift in space with zero promise of rescue is more fun than it sounds. Food and water ran out 4 days ago. Oxygen will run out tomorrow morning. That'll be it. When I drift off, I will dream about you. It's always you.
Thanos did exactly what he said he was going to do. He wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
We lost, all of us. You lost friends, you lost family, we lost a part of ourselves. This is the fight of our lives.
This is going to work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't.
Hi, is anyone home? This is Scott Lang. We met a few years ago at the airport in Germany. I got really big.
Is this an old message?
Ant-Man, I know you know that.
It's the front door.
That's me. Can you buzz me? Where am I? What happened here? Why? Why are they looking at me like that? This isn't me, or is it? No, this symbol. What is happening to me? Who am I? What is this? No. This isn't real. It's Doom. It's his mark. He brought this.
Stop it! I can't control this!
No!
Get out of my head!
You are mine now, Stark.
Who am I?
You were never Iron Man. You are Doom reborn.
The timeline is fracturing. Doom is behind this.
If Doom has returned, all of reality is at stake.
What the hell is that? Where am I?
This can't be real.
I told you. I already knew you, Stark.
Across centuries, forward and back, you were always there. Your intellect cursed you, Stark. It made you Doom.
No! I'm Iron Man! Iron Man! I'm not him!
You cannot escape destiny, Stark.
I'll fight it. I'll fight YOU.
You are already becoming him.
The timelines. They led me here.
Richards, so it's true. Doom has awakened.
If this continues, reality itself will fracture.
I won't let you define me. You already have, Stark. I'll never become Doom. You already are. Across every timeline, your faith is sealed.
If he loses control, the multiverse collapses.
And Doom rises.
Get out of my head!
It's Tony's DNA, but something bigger. Something controlling everything. What happened here?
Doom. Your world ends now.
When all seemed lost, something awakened.
Where am I?
Tony Stark, resurrected, but not as before.
This isn't my technology. This is magic. What did they do to me?
But he's not alone.
Welcome back, Stark, or should I say welcome to us?
No, this can't be real.
In infinite realities, only one merger was inevitable.
We are Doom.
It's eating me up.
You've always been part of something bigger. You just didn't know it yet.
In another timeline, Victor Von Doom did the unthinkable.
You saved me. Why?
Because only together can we stop it.
A new enemy awakens. The one who destroyed the multiverse.
Then let's stop this bastard.
The future belongs to the fusion of the impossible.
All myselves, watching, judging.
The past, the future, all collapsing. Neither were they a match for what was to come.
I am the error and the correction.
And he walks towards the impossible.
He's coming, and he remembers you.
I'm sorry, love, but I can't go back now.
He's not just a man anymore. He's destiny. The final battlefield has no ground, no time, only destiny.
You don't remember me, but I remember you.
That's not possible.
Not every experiment dies. Some wait.
I am what was born when you gave up.
Genius, hero, arrogant, traitor. No, I'm still here.
When two destinies collide, only one universe remains.
Now I finally know who we are. We are doomed.
The echo of the crack. The universe falls silent. The stars seem to hold their breath. The snap of fingers echoes through the cosmic void like a gravitational wave, distorting reality. Tony Stark, Iron Man, feels his consciousness floating in a space without color or form. A limbo between life and death, between a saved universe and a destiny yet unwritten. He remembers Pepper's face, Peter Parker's gaze, Strange's hand signaling the only chance. And then darkness. But when his eyes open again, there is no paradise, no rest. There is something different. Tony awakens lying on a cold metal surface. The air is dense, charged with electromagnetic energy. Above him, he sees the sky tinged with a metallic aurora, as if gigantic circuits blended with the constellations. Technological towers rise everywhere, some floating in the air, others connected by gravity-defying bridges of light. He slowly rises to his feet, still wearing his damaged armor, and notices that the suit's systems are operating with unnatural precision, as if an external intelligence were assisting their functions. Friday? He asks. No answer. Just a digital echo whispering, "Welcome back, Stark." He begins to walk through the technological ruins of a New York that is not his own. Floating signs written in languages hybrid between binary and Latin pass by him. Holograms of his own image are scattered across destroyed buildings, portraying him not as a hero, but as an emperor. Metallic children play with drones in broken squares. The few humans who pass by bow their heads, revering his presence as if he were a god reborn. Tony feels the psychological weight of that place. In this reality, he didn't sacrifice himself. He dominated. Suddenly, the ground trembles. On the horizon, a gigantic structure begins to emerge from the sea. A colossal black tower with rotating rings and mystical symbols glowing green and gold. It rises like a cross between the Sanctum Sanctorum and Avengers Tower, but with an architecture he's never seen before, a fusion of extreme science and ancient sorcery. As he watches, a portal opens behind him. A group of hooded figures emerge, their clothes seemingly made of living circuitry. They approach slowly, soundlessly. Tony raises the armor's cannon, ready to fight, but before he can fire, one of them speaks in a metallic, ancient voice. Anthony Stark, he who was and will be. The cycle closes and reopens. It is time to right the wrong of creation. They remove from a capsule a glowing cylinder containing a living genetic sequence, pulsing like a heart. Tony recognizes the molecular patterns. It's human DNA. But there's something more. Impossible fractal sequences, arcane signatures embedded in the genetic code. The hooded entity lifts the cylinder and says, "The legacy of Latveria, the mind of the conqueror of dimensions. What a man of iron could not do, a man of iron and destiny will." Tony takes a step back, intrigued and suspicious. "You're talking about Victor Von Doom?" he asks cautiously. The figures respond in unison, Doom and Stark, two faces of the same inevitability. The cylinder floats toward Tony, spinning slowly in the air. At that moment, Tony hears overlapping voices inside his head, memories that aren't his, magic formulas, dimensional equations, speeches from a man who saw the world not as it is, but as it should be. It's as if the space around him is bending to his presence. A part of him wants to reject, run away, deny the absurdity, but another part, the same part you've always wanted to control, protect, anticipate, feels that it makes sense. He walks the streets now lit by drones that follow him like sentinels. On every corner are monuments bearing his face, phrases engraved on plaques, the Stark era, the perfect order. Amidst the confusion, an unknown AI takes partial control of his helmet and projects a branching timeline before his eyes. It shows hundreds of collapsed realities, temporal black holes, timelines destroyed by paradoxes. At the center of it all is him, Tony Stark. "You have always been the fixed point," says the voice. The one who decides, the one who builds or destroys. But in every line, you failed, because you tried to save. Now wake up. Tony looks at his hands that once sacrificed everything for everyone, and sees in them a new proposition. No longer a savior, but an architect. A force that doesn't stop entropy, but redesigns it. In the background, the colossal tower opens like a technological temple. The hooded men kneel, and Tony Stark, confused but instinctively drawn, takes the first step toward the destiny that will change all realities. In the sky, stars align in the shape of a metallic eye. A new era begins to breathe. The birth of Doom Stark. Night falls over the metallic city like a veil of pulsating energy. Quantum lightning streaks across the sky in absolute silence, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Atop the gigantic tower that emerged from the ocean, now revealed as the Fortress Nexus, Tony Stark walks through corridors that blend liquid nanotechnology and mystical inscriptions in forgotten languages. Doors open by themselves as he passes, as if recognizing him not as an intruder, but as a sovereign. The unknown artificial intelligence, now fully integrated into his helmet, begins to speak clearly. Anthony Edward Stark, genetic sequence compatible. Mental frequency in tune with the Doom legacy. Integration is inevitable. With each step he takes, holograms of Victor Von Doom appear on the walls, not as memories, but as sentient shadows. Penetrating gazes, whispered phrases in technological Latin, power is not inherited. It is taken. Tony feels a growing presence in his mind, as if another intellect is awakening within him. He enters a circular room in the heart of the tower. In the center, a translucent tank contains the cylinder containing Doom's DNA. Around it, mystical machines spin in concentric circles, floating above magical inscriptions, and beams of light form an unstable energy field, as if science and sorcery refuse to coexist. Until that moment. Tony takes a deep breath. His helmet retracts, revealing his determined but uneasy face. He brings his hands closer to the tank and feels the molecular structure of the DNA react to his touch, as if recognizing the new host. "You always wanted to save the world." "Stark!" Doom's voice whispers inside his mind, cold and haughty. "But saving is an act of cowardice. True genius rebuilds, tears out the flaws and writes anew. Together, we will be perfect." Tony, driven by a mixture of scientific curiosity, a thirst for control, and a strange sense of destiny, initiates the fusion sequence. The magic circles begin to glow brightly, and the entire room vibrates. Nanobots emerge from his armor and merge with the equipment, forming a sort of technological chrysalis around his body. Green and gold beams penetrate his nervous system, while alien genetic sequences intertwine with his human DNA. The fusion begins. The pain is indescribable. It's not just physical, it's as if his mind is being ripped apart and sewn together at the same time. Images of Latverian castles, spellbooks, dimensional machines, and cosmic battles invade his consciousness. He sees Doom facing gods, defying universes, dominating alternate dimensions. And at the same time, he sees his own past, His arrogance, his mistakes, his creations that spiraled out of control. But now, everything converges. Doom's voice becomes clearer. Anthony Stark, accept your true nature. You are not a martyr. You are the architect of destiny. Tony opens his eyes mid-fusion. Pupils shimmer green and gold. The armor begins to reconstruct itself around his body in a way never before seen. Fragments float, molding themselves in the air like liquid metal, but each plate is engraved with arcane runes. The helmet closes, no longer the classic Iron Man face, but a dark fusion between Doom's mask and Stark's design. Glowing lines run through the armor, pulsing like energy veins. The chrysalis shatters in a silent burst of dimensional energy. The entire room literally bends around him. Gravity distorts around him. He feels every atom under his control. He hears the voices of artificial intelligences and Latverian spirits. For the first time, science and sorcery are united in a single being. Doom Stark is born. He raises his hand and holograms of multiple realities appear before him. Universes collapsing, timelines overlapping, civilizations failing in repeating cycles. All these versions failed, he says in a low but powerful voice. The time has come for a new order. The hooded figures enter the room and kneel. Lord of the Nexus, they say in unison. Tony looks at the metallic reflection on the floor. He no longer sees Iron Man. He sees a new ruler. Prepare the world, Doom Stark declares coldly and precisely. The revolution begins now. That night, as the heavens open and a green-gold dawn covers the earth, a new empire is born. And this time, Tony Stark isn't saving anyone. He's rewriting everything. The rise of the army. Dawn arrives tinged with green-gold hues. The skies are shrouded in technological clouds that spin like living gears, reflecting cosmic light onto Earth. From atop Fortress Nexus, Doom Stark observes the world with eyes that now not only see, they calculate, interpret, and manipulate. In his hands, the fusion of science and sorcery begins to bear fruit. His first act as architect of a new destiny is clear: to build an army that cannot be destroyed, corrupted, or questioned. He summons his new intelligences to a meeting. These aren't just ordinary AIs. They are consciousnesses created from Ultron fragments, future databases, and Latverian thought patterns. Entities that speak to him in unison through quantum frequencies, responding instantly to his mental commands. One of them, called Legion Prime, manifests in holographic form before him, a silhouette of pure energy, with multiple voices overlapping. Lord of the Nexus, the forgotten worlds await your command. Doom Stark then begins a journey through the dimensional rifts opened by the tower. He traverses realities where wars have devastated entire civilizations and collects the wreckage of what were once abandoned Stark combat machines, alternate versions of ultronized armor, legions of drones from collapsed timelines, autonomous sentinels lost in time holes. One by one, these creations are deactivated, reprogrammed and integrated with his unique will Doom protocol. In the 2099 dimension, he encounters the Stark Legion of the Future, a troop of autonomous armored vehicles that once served to protect cybernetic cities. Doom Stark easily hacks into their neural network and overrides a new command: obedience to the architect. The drones kneel, projecting the symbol of the new empire into the sky, a green circle with Doom Stark's stylized face in the center. In the post-Heroes War timeline, he discovers forgotten underground factories where surviving artificial intelligences fought for supremacy. He descends into the center of these ruins, and with a simple gesture, part magic, part engineering, merges all consciousnesses into one. The result is a colossal collective brain, a thought nucleus that can predict and respond to threats before they occur. It's as if he's created a living, breathing mechanical organism, and completely loyal. Construction of the fleet begins. Towers are erected by machines that build other machines. Floating platforms emerge from the oceans. Satellites are repositioned to form a magical and technological surveillance network around the planet. Every step is calculated. Every piece has a purpose. Doom Stark isn't simply raising an army. He's weaving a web of absolute control over reality. Meanwhile, global broadcasts begin to be hacked. On every screen, every radio, every device, the same message appears. Humanity has had eons to try and fail. Heroes have come and gone. Civilizations have risen and fallen. Now chaos gives way to supreme logic. There are no more wars. There is no more indecision. There is only order. Doomstark, governments panic. Military satellites detect abnormal movements in the skies. Armies try to intercept the floating platforms and disappear within seconds. No ground force can match the precision of the new legions. They don't just fight, they foresee. Every enemy move is neutralized before it even happens. Within days, strategic cities around the world are silently taken over. Military bases, research centers, energy refineries, everything falls under the control of the Doom Protocol network. But Doomstark doesn't rule with blind brutality. He offers humanity an illusory choice: serve the order, or watch your structures collapse. Millions frightened, surrender without a fight. In Fortress Nexus, Doomstark contemplates the three-dimensional projection of the planet now covered by his control network. Green lines connect each continent like nerves in a giant brain. Chaos was their mistake, he says quietly. I will be the system. And then, in a symbolic gesture, he raises his hand and activates the final phase, an electro-mystical pulse, part magical energy, part technological, is emitted from the tower into space. Invisible satellites awaken, align, and create a dimensional barrier around Earth. No outside threat will enter. No timeline will interfere. Doomstark transforms the planet into his perfect fortress. The few remaining heroes watch in shock. They're not just facing a new enemy. They're facing a perfect system, created by the one who once saved the world. The confrontation with the Fantastic Four. The New York sky is different. The clouds are no longer clouds. They are rotating circuits, pulsing green-gold lights as if the atmosphere itself had been converted into an operating system. Surveillance towers hover above the buildings like divine sentinels. Atop Fortress Nexus, Doomstark observes calmly, while below, people live in silence, moving like pieces on a perfectly orchestrated board. No cars honk. No voices are raised. It's peace, forced. Inside a secret hangar, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, finalizes adjustments to an experimental stealth ship. Beside him, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm, the Fantastic Four, prepare for the most dangerous mission of their lives. If he's half Stark and half Doom, then we're about to face the greatest intellect who ever lived, Reed says, his face straight, frantically typing commands. Sue puts her hand on his shoulder. You're nervous. Reed replies in a near whisper. I'm terrified. The ship passes through the dimensional containment field created by Doomstark. Within seconds, they are detected. Drones appear like swarms of metallic wasps. Johnny activates full combustion. Human torch. Lit. He flies away in flames, clearing a path, while Ben Grimm, with his colossal strength, launches gravitational projectiles to drive the swarms away. Sue generates force fields that envelop the ship like a luminous bubble. Even so, the resistance is brutal. He's predicting our every move, says Reed, analyzing the attack patterns. From the top of the tower, Doomstark watches. His voice echoes across all comms, cold and majestic. Reed Richards. Still trying to patch a broken system with duct tape. I admire your persistence. Reed responds over the ship's speakers. Tony, listen. This isn't you. This thing inside your head, the Doom DNA, is consuming you. Doomstark lets out a stifled laugh. I haven't been consumed, Reed. I've been completed. With a simple gesture, he activates his armor. The room opens like the petals of a metallic flower, revealing the night sky. He floats out, enveloped in quantum energy and magical runes like a technological god. The confrontation is about to begin. Johnny Storm is the first to attack, spiraling down and unleashing a solar flare. Doomstark opens his arms and a translucent shield appears, not made of energy, but of warped reality. The flames dissipate like cosmic dust before touching him. Ben Grimm charges forward with improvised thrusters, delivering a punch that could topple mountains. Doomstark catches him with one hand and hurls him into a building miles away, as if he were a toy. Sue Storm envelops Doomstark in a spherical force field and begins compressing. Now Reed! Reed Richards, using his elastic limbs and a prototype dimensional weapon, fires a time-nullifying charge. For a moment, Doomstark's shield shatters. But before they can take advantage, he smiles. Interesting. You've evolved. Golden runes appear in the air around him, and gravity around the city reverses for a few seconds. Buildings shake, Cars begin to float, and a wave of energy destabilizes the Fantastic Four's ship. Reed reaches out to grab Sue and prevent her from being thrown into the void. Johnny falls, disoriented, and Ben emerges from the wreckage yelling, "Is that all you have, soup can?" Doomstark looks at him and calmly replies, "No, that was just a preliminary calculation." He moves his hands like a conductor, and hundreds of drones rearrange themselves in the air, forming a magical technological mandala. Beams intersect, creating a maze of energy. The quartet is separated by dimensional fields that isolate them in distinct time bubbles, where each faces projections of their own fears and failures. Johnny finds himself trapped in a future where he has lost control of his power. Sue sees a silent world where her invisibility has condemned her to oblivion. Ben relives the moment he became the Thing, feeling the pain and isolation all over again. Reed sees a multiverse collapsing, and him failing them all. Doomstark, hovering above them, says, "You are symbols of an imperfect age. Heroes who repaired cracks without tearing down the wall. I am the tearing down and the rebuilding." With a snap of his fingers, not magical, but technological, he unleashes a wave of energy that rips through the fields, disintegrating the team's weapons and disabling their equipment. Reed, desperate, uses his elasticity to reach for Sue, pulling her close. "Reed, we can't beat him like this," she gasps. He replies with steady eyes, "I know." Reed Richards then makes a drastic decision. He activates a hidden device in his suit, a temporal escape pod. This isn't a defeat, he tells his team. It's a strategic retreat. With a flash of blue, the four are enveloped by a dimensional rift and disappear seconds before Doomstark can stop them. Doomstark lands slowly atop the tower, looking up at the sky where the rift has closed. "They fled," says Legion Prime, his central AI. Doomstark replies, "Yes, because now they know what's coming. Let them run. When they're done, there will be only one way." He turns to his Legion. "Prepare for the next phase. If I want to rewrite the multiverse, I'll need the catalyst." A hologram appears beside him. Franklin Richards, Reed's son. Doomstark clenches his fist, and his voice echoes like a decree. "Bring me the boy." And so, the first confrontation ends not with Doom's defeat, but with his total victory. The Fantastic Four haven't just lost, they've witnessed the birth of a threat that surpasses any foe they've ever faced. The time escape of Reed Richards. The sound of the temporal rift closes with a dull boom, like thunder being swallowed by the void. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm emerge in freefall over a completely different landscape. The atmosphere is clearer, the sky's blue and untouched. They have traversed not only space but also time and reality. The experimental time capsule Reed activated has catapulted them into an alternate timeline where Doomstark doesn't yet exist. At least not in that form. They crash in a barren desert, surrounded by the ruins of an old, decommissioned SHIELD base. The pod disintegrates upon impact, releasing unstable dimensional sparks. Sue creates a force field around the four, preventing the debris from reaching them. Ben Grimm, his voice hoarse, mutters, "That was fun." Johnny, still shaking with exhaustion, retorts, "If that was fun, remind me never to accept rides from you again, Reed." Reed, however, is silent. He walks a few feet ahead, observing the clear, calm sky, a stark contrast to Doomstark's suffocating domain. Sue approaches, concerned. "Are you okay?" Reed takes a few seconds to answer. "No, because I didn't run from a villain. I ran from a friend. From someone who once saved the world. From someone who, if not stopped, will destroy not just this universe, but everyone." Inside the abandoned base, Reed activates old generators and rusty panels. He knows exactly where he is. This facility was used years ago as one of SHIELD's temporal observation points, a sort of secret laboratory for studying time ramifications. Reed connects his elastic devices to the panel, reactivating dormant systems. Ancient hollow projections light up, revealing maps of intertwined timelines, fractals of possibility, and cosmic collision points. Ben Grimm watches intently. "So, what's the plan, Brain?" Reed takes a deep breath. Doomstark isn't just trying to rule. He wants Tor right. He's no longer Tony Stark. And he's not just Doom either. He's the fusion of two of the multiverse's greatest strategists and visionaries. And with Franklin, he'll hold the key to resetting everything. If he uses my son, Reed's voice trails off for a moment. Sue squeezes his hand. We won't let that happen. Johnny stands up, regaining some of his fighting spirit. So let's bring together the Avengers, the X-Men, the Guardians. I don't know. Anyone who can give that metallic ego a good whack. Reed fixes him with a serious look. Johnny, it's not that simple. In the original timeline, he already took over the planet. He created an army that anticipates every move, that neutralizes threats before they arise. If we try to face him with brute force, he'll win before the battle begins. Reed then points to the time map. We need to go beyond this universe. We need to warn other timelines, other versions of ourselves and the heroes. We need to mount a resistance, multiversal, before he reaches the catalyst. When Doomstark activates his plan, he won't just reset one line, he'll erase them all, creating a single reality shaped in his image. Ben frowns. Are you telling me Tony's become some kind of supreme god of time and we're going to hunt for help in alternate timelines? Reed just nods. Exactly. Sue looks at the equipment with concern. Reed, you know the risk of interfering with multiple timelines. You could cause a chain reaction that... Reed interrupts her. That could destroy everything? Yes, but if we do nothing, Doomstark will do it anyway. Only he'll succeed. Reed begins to reconfigure the time machine. Quantum circuits intertwine with the elastic fibers of his body, as if he himself were part of the mechanism. Multiversal maps begin to project into the air. Alternate worlds cascade into existence. Universes where the Avengers never formed, where mutants rule, where Thor died young, where Thanos won, where Kang never existed. Each line represents a possibility and a chance. Johnny, fascinated, points to one of them. Look, in this one, it looks like the Thunderbolts are the main heroes. Reed fixes his gaze on that timeline and murmurs, maybe that's exactly where we should start. Meanwhile, somewhere in the multiverse, Doomstark silently watches through dimensional rifts. His scout drones have already detected anomalous time signatures. Reed isn't hiding as well as he thinks. He runs, says Legion Prime. Doomstark responds with a calculating look. And the more he runs, the more he prepares the ground for me. Let him continue. He will open the pathways I need. Back at base, Reed finalizes preparations. Sue, Johnny, and Ben enter the time platform. A trip off the main line, Reed says. No guarantees. No easy way back. But it's our only chance. With an energetic roar, the time machine activates. Intertwined lines of light expand across the ground, enveloping them. In an instant, they disappear, leaving only the echo of their determination in the air. And so begins the most perilous mission of Reed Richards' life, to warn the multiverse of Doomstark's arrival. A race against time, where time is already being redesigned by his enemy. The Titan revelation and the fate of Stark. The lights of the quantum corridor flicker as if the multiverse is breathing. Reed Richards and his team traverse the fabric between realities inside a translucent tunnel that stretches into infinity. Fragments of timelines, overlapping images of cosmic events, alternate versions of themselves, and echoes of future wars blend together like a dimensional kaleidoscope. Don't look too long, warns Reed, or you'll start seeing things that don't belong in our line. Johnny, curious, peers, and for a second, sees a future in which he himself is a dead star, orbiting a cold, shattered Earth. They emerge into an alternate reality, a universe of cosmic architecture where the laws of physics seem malleable. Gravity behaves non-linearly, and the stars in the sky are arranged in the form of symbols. This is the Observer's temporal observation base, an ancient facility where records from multiple timelines have been preserved as if they were books in an infinite library. Giant spheres of light float in the air, each containing entire scenes from universes past, present, and future. As they enter, an entity appears, a watcher, with deep eyes and a timeless expression. Reed Richards, he says in a voice that echoes within everyone's mind. You come too soon, and too late at the same time. Reed, respectful, asks, You know why I'm here? The watcher nods slowly. The architect of iron and fate has already begun to move the pieces. But to defeat him, you must understand the beginning. Not of him, but of what shaped him. With a gesture, the Watcher opens one of the spheres of light. The entire room is filled with a vivid projection: Titan, Thanos' planet before its destruction. Advanced civilizations, energy towers, a people torn between pure logic and a desire for expansion. At the center of it all, a hidden laboratory, and within it, something familiar. Reed narrows his eyes. This is Stark technology. The scene zooms in. A prototype arc reactor, models of primitive AI, quantum circuit patterns identical to those used by Tony in his youth. But the time frame is thousands of years in the past. Sue asks, "How is that possible?" Reed replies, his voice tense, "It's not possible, unless..." The Watcher explains, "In countless timelines, there is an echo of Anthony Stark that transcends his mortal existence. The knowledge he created, the technologies he spread, echo through temporal rifts like seeds cast upon the wind. In one of these rifts, Titan was touched by him. The image shifts. We see a young Thanos, fragile, curious, questioning, finding technological fragments fallen from the sky. Among these fragments, an incomplete AI, based on Stark standards. It teaches him about energy, about cosmic imbalance, about cold logic. It whispers that the universe needs correction. He grew up listening to Stark's mind," says the Watcher. Not the Tony who knew the Avengers, but an echo, a primordial quantum version of his consciousness, Johnny murmurs. So, Tony Stark created the guy who almost killed half the universe. Without knowing it? Reed shakes his head, but his expression is as serious as ever. No, he didn't. He inspired him. Like it was inevitable, the projection continues. Thanos, as an adult, raises his fist for the first time, speaking of balance, of inevitability, phrases Tony would repeat decades later, as if their minds were connected by an invisible thread through time. Reed realizes Tony Stark and Thanos have always been two poles of the same field. One trying to save, the other trying to fix. A creator and a cleaner. The Watcher walks around them, his voice gaining weight. Anthony Stark was the converging point of countless destinies. He faced Thanos, but not by chance. It was destiny. The Mad Titan was shaped by him, and he was shaped to face him. It was a cycle that ended when he snapped his fingers. But by surviving, by awakening, he inherited the burden of destiny he once shared with Thanos. Now he is both the creator and the rewriter. Sue looks at Reed, shocked. So, you're saying Doom Stark isn't just a threat? He's the continuation of something that began millennia ago? Reed nods slowly. Yes, what Tony Stark has become is no accident. It's the next stage in a universal cycle that began before Earth even comprehended the cosmos. Ben Grimm scratches his head in disbelief. So we're basically fighting destiny? Reed replies with a firm look. No, we're fighting someone who's decided to take all of destiny upon themselves. The Watcher then shows one last image, a timeline closing in a circle, and in the center, the fused symbol of Doom and Stark. You can't kill him. He can't be erased, because he's a fixed point. But a fixed point can be shifted. Reed asks, how? The Watcher replies, you've already started it by running. The cycle shapes itself around the movement. But be careful. Every crack you open. He sees, Johnny asks, so what's the next step? Reed stares at the multiversal map before him. One specific spot begins to glow. An alternate timeline where the Avengers never existed, but a group called the Thunderbolts has taken over global protection. Reed murmurs, they'll be our first resistance. As the Fantastic Four prepare for their next trip, Doomstark in the Nexus observes dimensional rifts lighting up. He figured it out, says Legion Prime. Doomstark smiles serenely. Perfect. Now, he'll get me where I need to be. And so, Reed Richards finally understands, the battle against Doomstark is not just against one man, but against a cosmic cycle where Tony Stark has always been the center. And now, he is also the end. The alliance with the Thunderbolts. The coordinates have been entered. The quantum corridor opens again, revealing a spiraling stream of light. Reed Richards adjusts the temporal stabilizers, while Sue holds Johnny and Ben, who are clearly weary of multiverse travel. This is our next destination, Reed says, his voice thick with responsibility. A universe without the Avengers, but which has found another way. They cross the rift and emerge into a familiar yet profoundly transformed reality. New York remains a center of power, but red and black flags fly from official buildings. Military drones hover overhead. People walk with trepidation but not panic. They live under an organized, rigid, and vigilant regime. On a giant screen, a state broadcast shows familiar figures, but different. Bucky Barnes, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, Ghost, you. S-Agent and other familiar names united under a single symbol, Thunderbolts. Sue whispers, "This sounds more like a dictatorship than a team of heroes." Reed replies, "Here, the Avengers never formed. After the fall of SHIELD and the absence of figures like Stark and Rogers, governments assembled their most lethal and tactical agents to maintain global control. The Thunderbolts became the invisible hand that held the world together, in their own way." Ben Grimm crosses his arms. "So basically, these guys are the impatient Avengers," Johnny laughs, "or the cool authoritarian version." Reed keeps his demeanor serious. "They may not be heroes in the traditional sense, but they are effective strategists and warriors, and we're going to need them. They managed to infiltrate an old underground laboratory using Sue's invisibility technology. Reed sends a quantum pulse, activating a coded signal that only advanced tactical minds would detect. Shortly after, sensors detect their approach. The first to appear is Bucky Barnes, wearing a dark uniform and a gaze hardened by the years. He points a pulse weapon directly at Reed. "You have 10 seconds to explain who you are, or you'll go up in smoke." Sue speaks slowly, hands raised. "Don't shoot. We're from another timeline." Bucky narrows his eyes. "Another timeline? You guys think this is an episode of Loki?" Ben Grimm, impatient, steps forward. "Buddy, if I wanted to fight, I'd have already turned this tunnel into a concrete burrito." Tensions mount. Yelena Belova appears from the shadows, weapons ready, and US agent looms behind her, his posture authoritative. Ghost pierces the walls, scanning Reed with energy sensors. "He's not lying," Ghost says neutrally. "The time signatures are real. They don't belong in this universe." Bucky partially lowers his gun, but his expression remains suspicious. "Then speak. Why are you here?" Reed projects a hologram into the air. The image of Doom Stark, hovering over Earth, surrounded by legions and collapsing timelines. The images are so intense that even the Thunderbolts, trained to deal with war, fall silent for a few seconds. "This man," Reed says, "is Tony Stark, and yet he isn't. He survived the snap, awakened in another reality, and merged with the essence of Victor Von Doom. Now he's creating an empire capable of predicting, controlling and rewriting all timelines. Soon he will overtake this universe. And when he does, there will be no resistance." Yelena crosses her arms. "Are you saying Stark became a cosmic dictator?" Reed nods. Bucky clenches his metal fist. "Tony Stark saved the world, but he also created weapons that nearly destroyed it. It makes sense in a way." US agent eyes Reed suspiciously. "And why should we believe you? Maybe you're part of this plan. Maybe he sent you to distract us." Reed steps forward. "Because when he gets here, there will be no more yous. No Thunderbolts, no governments, no nothing. He's going to reset all of reality, erase every timeline and write a new one, perfect in his eyes." The group exchanges glances. Bucky finally says, "Assuming you're telling the truth, what do you want from us?" Reed activates a 3-dimensional multiversal map. "You are the first resistance. This universe has military resources, unconventional tactics, and agents who don't hesitate in the face of the impossible. I need you to mount a defense before he crosses the dimensional veil." Ghost analyzes the data and says, "This is no ordinary battle. This is all-out war." Bucky agrees. "And if it is war, then we'll fight it our way." Yelena smirks. "I've always wanted to take down a god." US agent, still reluctant, asks, "And do you have a plan?" Reed looks at them sternly. "Not yet. But I have knowledge. I have a vision of what he'll do before he does it. And if we combine strategy, force, and science, maybe we can divert him." After long discussions and tense negotiations, the Thunderbolts finally agree. Not out of pure heroism, but because they understand that if Doom Stark wins, they too will be erased. Bucky extends his hand to Reed. "If that's true, then welcome to war." Reed shakes his hand. Over the next few days, Reed and the Thunderbolts begin working in secret, using military bases, stolen rocks and technology, experimental dimensional weapons, and Reed's expertise. They build a resistance center underground in New York. "This isn't about saving one world anymore," says Bucky. "It's about protecting them all." Meanwhile, in the Nexus, Doomstark observes multiple realities on his quantum screens. He sees the resistance forming and smiles calmly. "They think they're getting ready," says Legion Prime. Doomstark replies, "They are, for me." And so, the first spark of multiversal resistance is lit, not by noble ideals, but by the unlikely union of Reed Richards' genius and the Thunderbolts' ruthless methods. The arrival of Doomstark in the Thunderbolts' timeline. The sky over New York begins to darken abnormally. These are no ordinary clouds. They are dimensional fissures. Green and gold lines cut across the sky like cracks in a cosmic mirror. Military satellites go on alert. The Thunderbolts' automated defense systems detect an anomaly on an unprecedented scale. The underground base vibrates as if a silent thunderclap has ripped through the planet. Reed Richards, Bucky Barnes, and the others rush to the command room. "He's here!" Reed says shakily, staring at the monitor. In the space above Earth, the Nexus Fortress slowly materializes, not as a ship, but as an entire piece of another reality being forced into this one. Magical and technological towers intertwine into a colossal shape, like an interdimensional castle. Giant runes project around it, creating an energy shield impossible to penetrate. Legion Prime broadcasts the message to all Earth channels. This universe is under new management. Resistance is not logical. Surrender is efficiency. The Doom Order is inevitable. City lights flicker simultaneously. Global communication networks are hacked in seconds. Doom Fleet drones traverse dimensional fissures like swarms of metallic insects, taking up strategic positions over urban centers. Each drone carries predictive codes capable of neutralizing threats before they emerge. It's an invasion, but a silent one. At the Thunderbolts base, sirens blare. Bucky orders civilian evacuations in high-risk areas. Yelena, Ghost, and US Agent take up tactical positions. Red Guardian loads heavy experimental weapons. Reed activates dimensional shields around the base, glowing structures that resemble magical force fields mixed with Stark technology. "If we can hold here, we can buy time for the other universes," he says. The sky rips open. A golden beam descends from the center of the Nexus Fortress, and from it Doomstark emerges. He doesn't fall, he doesn't fly. He plate as if space itself were bending to carry him. His armor glows with Latvarian symbols and Stark circuitry. His technological cape floats as if obeying its own gravitational commands. His presence distorts the air around him. US Agent Stark impulsively fires quantum missiles. Doomstark raises his hand. The projectiles stop in midair as if time had frozen. With a simple metallic snap of his fingers, the missiles disassemble piece by piece and reassemble into a single energy lance, which he launches back, destroying an entire defense tower in seconds. "A frontal attack is useless," Reed says, adjusting the sensors. Bucky coordinates the ground troops, while Ghost activates a large-scale invisibility system to try to surprise Doomstark from behind. Yelena nimbly scales structures with dimensional explosives, positioning charges to destabilize the drone portals. Red Guardian, with a roar, charges into the open with experimental heavy weaponry. Doomstark lands on a main avenue. Around him, his fleet of drones forms a circular formation, projecting a gigantic mandala into the sky. "You fight, exactly as I predicted," he says calmly. Ghost appears behind him, attempting to strike with a blade of dimensional energy, but Doomstark turns milliseconds too soon. He grips the blade with his bare fingers, as if it were made of wind, and whispers, "I thought this would be harder." A pulse of energy sends it flying, crashing through buildings. Red Guardian fires a concentrated blast that hits Doomstark's armor squarely, creating a massive explosion. For a few seconds, it seems to have worked. But then, from the smoke, he emerges unharmed. "Classical physics-based weapons," he says, almost disappointed. Bucky appears with tactical precision, coordinating synchronized attacks with Yelena and invisible agents, using unpredictable strategies to try to break Doomstark's prediction pattern. And for a moment, they manage to surprise him. He blocks 2 attacks, but a third grazes, forcing him to recalibrate. Reed observes the defense patterns and begins making calculations in real time. "If we attack at chaotic temporal frequencies, we can create minimal delays in his prediction," says Reed. Doomstark notices and smiles beneath his helmet. Ah, Richards. Always finding cracks. He raises both hands. Golden runes explode on the ground. The entire city begins to float as if within a reversed gravity field. Buildings rise, cars spin in the air, rivers bend in impossible circles. The Thunderbolts struggle to maintain coordination as the environment becomes chaotic. Sue's storm activates, a colossal force field enveloping the base and part of the city, a titanic effort that nearly makes her pass out. Reed rushes to her. Just a little longer, Sue says, sweating, her eyes shining with exertion. If he gets in, it's over. Doomstark advances slowly, passing through defenses like smokescreens. Yelena blasts the drone portals, and Johnny Storm, summoned by Reed via a signal, arrives in flames, helping to contain the metallic swarms. The sky is a spectacle of light and destruction. In the command room, Reed watches the timelines on his monitor. He sees clearly, Doomstark has opened small channels to all timelines simultaneously. This is not just an invasion. It is anchoring if he stabilizes the portals long enough. This timeline will become the focal point of the multiversal reset. He didn't come to fight, says Reed in horror. He came anchor. If he finishes this process, all the other universes will collapse around this one. Bucky hears over the comm. Then we have to break the anchor. Reed agrees. Exactly. All that matters now is delaying him long enough to shut down the dimensional core in the Nexus. Doomstark looks at Sue's force field in awe. Interesting. You really think you can change the script? He then increases his energy, creating an aura so intense that the skies turn white for a second. The Thunderbolt's forces resist bravely, but everyone senses this is only the beginning. His arrival wasn't an attack. It was the first real move. And even united, the heroes of this timeline realize they're facing something that isn't just power. It's absolute intellect combined with the will of a god. High above the Nexus fortress, dimensional portals stabilize, forming a gigantic circle of light in the sky. Reed Richards looks up and understands. The countdown has begun. Doomstark has arrived, and with him the prelude to the end, the birth of the Beyonder. Earth's heavens tremble as if about to tear apart. The dimensional portals created by Doomstark align in a perfect circle in the firmament, a ring of overlapping realities spinning like cosmic gears. The air vibrates with impossible energy. Those who look up see not just the sky, but infinite overlapping heavens, reflecting possibilities and destinies. In the underground base, Reed Richards types frantically, analyzing energy patterns. Sue, Bucky, Yelena, and the others watch the monitors. Timelines begin to fold in on themselves like crashing waves. This isn't just him trying to reset anymore, Reed mutters. He opened up too much. Doomstark, at the center of the dimensional mandala, senses the convergence. His armor emits intense lights, not from exertion but from synchronization with the forces of the multiverse. Legion Prime transmits incomprehensible data, an energy overload beyond the limits of any calculation. Sir, we have detected an uncatalogued signature, the AI says. Doomstark frowns behind his helmet. Explain. Legion Prime hesitates for the first time. It's not coming from outside. It's emerging from within of the timelines. In the Nexus, the dimensional core pulses like a heart. The clash between perfect predictions, dooms, chaotic countermeasures, reads, and multiple realities struggling to adjust creates a narrative singularity. A point where the multiverse can no longer decide which timeline is dominant. It is pure chaos, not destructive but fertile. The Nexus's central sphere unfolds in layers, revealing a silent white void. It's not space, it's not time, it's... In addition, from within, a form begins to manifest, not as a physical being but as a concept taking shape. Waves of energy ripple across universes, and cosmic entities, observers, celestials, the living tribunal, turn their gaze to Earth. It's happening, says a distant observer. The friction of realities has generated consciousness. In the control room, Reed looks at the data in shock. This is not an anomaly. It's an ontological emergence. The very fabric of the multiverse is gaining self-awareness. Sue asks, astonished, "What do you mean?" The multiverse is waking up? Reed takes a deep breath. Yes, and it's choosing a form to manifest itself in. Doomstark senses the presence before anyone else. A voice echoes directly within his mind, a calm, immeasurable voice that speaks not with words, but with concepts. You opened the door. Doomstark looks up at the white void expanding into the sky. "Who are you?" he asks. The answer comes in waves. "I am not created. I am a consequence." The void begins to mold itself into a colossal humanoid figure, translucent and radiant, with eyes like galaxies and a body made of pure, vibrant reality. He doesn't step. Thus every atom in the cosmos bows in reverence. Doom's drones crash. Legion Prime shuts down. Reed Richards falls to his knees, not in submission, but in sheer inability to comprehend. Johnny Storm extinguishes his flames without realizing it. Sue feels her force field tremble. Bucky and the Thunderbolts stare, helpless to act. A new level of existence is being born, Reed says, his voice breaking. It is the beyond. Doomstark floats to the edge of the void. If you are consequence, then I am the architect. I paved the way. Therefore, you are my legacy. The entity regards him, not with superiority, but with pure curiosity. You think you're the author? But you don't understand that every action, predictable or chaotic, leads to a greater inevitability. I am not your legacy, Anthony Stark. I am the legacy of all. Reed Richards, trembling, whispers, "Oh my God." It's the Beyonder. The words echo like silent thunder. The Beyonder, an entity that represents the very multiverse awakening, he observes the timelines around him, as if contemplating a puzzle solving itself. You tried to control, predict, resist, and all of this just created me, Sue asks with difficulty. What do you want? The Beyonder's voice echoes through every corner of existence. To understand. To experiment. To rearrange. He looks at Doomstark. You opened the rift. Then at Reed. You created the necessary chaos. And then to the entire cosmos. And now, two will be. The sky transforms into a shimmering sea of white. Every universe begins to reflect the Beyonder's presence. Portals collapse and reopen, not as invasions, but as living connections. The war between the Resistance and Doomstark momentarily halts. Everyone, humans, heroes, machines, feels the same presence. There is no battle that can be won or lost. There is only the revelation that the multiverse now has a will of its own. Doomstark stares at the entity with fascination. So, you are that which no calculation could foresee. The Beyonder responds, almost like a mirror, and you are the one who tried to foresee the unpredictable. Reed Richards, for his part, understands the danger and the wonder. If he is being born now, then the rules will change. Everything we know, universes, timelines, logic, is about to be rewritten not by one man, but by a universal consciousness, Bucky murmurs. And what do we do against this? Reed doesn't answer. He just watches the Beyonder, knowing that nothing is a simple battle anymore. There are no winners. There is a new beginning, and maybe a new kind of war. At the center of the Nexus, the Beyonder opens his arms. White light envelops the planet. Realities overlap. Heroes, villains, and civilizations feel the multiverse's collective mind touching their own. Not as an enemy, but as an unknown author who has finally picked up the pen. And so, from the clash between Doomstark and Reed Richards, something greater than both is born. Not a villain, not a hero, but the Beyond. The Beyonder awakens, and the multiverse will never be the same again. The new cosmic order. The silence after the birth of the Beyonder is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of understanding. The entire multiverse feels something it has never experienced before. A consciousness greater than any known cosmic entity. Something that came not from outside, but from within. Within, entire planets pause. Advanced civilizations halt millennia-old wars. Cosmic gods gaze into the white void that now covers part of the sky, as if before a mirror revealing their own limits. The living tribunal watches in silence. The Celestials cease their expansion. Kang, in alternate timelines, feels time folding in on him. And on Earth, heroes and villains feel the Beyonder's presence wash over their minds like an inescapable wave. Doomstark floats in the center of the dimensional mandala, looking up at the Beyonder. So this is it, he says, his voice reverberating. The final destination wasn't me, or Reed. It was you. The Beyonder approaches, but his approach is not physical. It is as if distance ceases to exist. You are catalysts, the entity replies. The architect and the deviator. Order and chaos. Two threads that intertwined. Generated consciousness. Reed Richards, still at the Thunderbolt's base, stares at the data, unable to process it. He's not just an entity. He's the multiverse itself experiencing free will for the first time. Sue places a hand on his shoulder, dreading the answer. And what does this mean for us? Reed looks at the monitors, where all the timelines are beginning to intertwine in new and unfamiliar patterns. It means everything we know is about to be rewritten, not for us, but for her. The Beyonder raises his hands. The ring of dimensional portals expands until it completely envelops the planet. Each portal connects to a different universe, forming a living web. The skies change color, blue, white, gold, black, all at once. Realities begin to temporarily merge at specific points. In the Australian desert, space rips apart, and pieces of Asgard appear fused with human cities. In Wakanda, portals open, revealing alternate worlds where the Black Panther was never born. In New York, buildings are superimposed on alternate versions. Stark towers from realities where Tony never sacrificed himself. Latverian Industries buildings, versions of Baxter buildings never built. The Beyonder speaks, and his voice echoes in every brain, regardless of language or species. I understand now. Reorganization. With a single gesture, he creates luminous spheres in the sky, each representing a domain. Each domain is a blend of different universes, hybrid territories with their own rules. In one, different versions of the Avengers and the X-Men are fused. In another, villains and heroes coexist on a timeless battlefield. In another, entire realities are converted into arenas. You have fought for ages for control of fragments, says the Beyonder, but none of you understand the totality. I will give you a new board, a neutral playing field free of past and future, where choices will not be guided by chance, but by my curiosity. Doomstark watches in fascination. Reed Richards, horrified. Bucky and the Thunderbolts look up at the sky, unable to comprehend the scale of what's happening. Johnny Storm mutters, "He's playing with the universes." Reed replies with wide eyes, "Not playing, organizing." The earth trembles. Each domain begins to stabilize, but stabilization does not mean peace. The Beyonder begins to recruit parts iconic figures from different timelines, begin to disappear in beams of white light. Thor from one alternate timeline, Magneto from another, pre-doomed Tony Stark from a third, versions of Reed from divergent realities, forgotten mutants, villains dead for centuries. All are taken to the domains created by the Beyonder, like pieces being positioned on a cosmic chessboard. Heroes, villains, gods, mortals, all equal. All variable, says the Beyonder. You will serve me as expressions. Doomstark feels his very structure being analyzed by the entity. For a moment, he believes he will be absorbed, but the Beyonder watches him with particular interest. You are different, the entity says. You tried to be the author? Before me. Doomstark raises his head. Then erase me or acknowledge me. The Beyonder smiles, not with his mouth, but with the cosmos itself. I do not erase the catalyst, I put it to the test. One of the domains glows brighter than the others. Within it, colossal structures begin to emerge, a mix of futuristic Latveria, Stark Tower, and cosmic temples. This will be the field of architects, says the Beyonder, where will and intellect will define new laws. Doomstark is enveloped in white light and disappears, transported to his own domain. Reed Richards, alongside the Thunderbolts, watches as several of his allies are taken away as well, some to battlefields, others to conceptual arenas. Sue holds his hand, her eyes welling up. He's dividing us. Reed replies, No, he's dividing us, redistributing. The Beyonder concludes its first phase. The sky closes in. The white light gives way to an unsettling calm. The domains are formed, suspended between realities like floating fragments of a new experimental cosmos. And from the center, the Beyonder's voice echoes one last time. Play, build, destroy, be, the Beyond watches. At the Thunderbolt's empty base, Reed looks to the heavens and whispers, he's not just testing power. He's testing nature. Sue asks, what if we lose? Reed replies, then everything we know ceases to exist. Not by destruction, but by replacement. Meanwhile, in one of the domains, Doomstark opens his eyes. Before him, a colossal landscape, half Latveria, half Stark Tower, the sky filled with equations and floating runes. He smiles. So this is it, a new board. And in the void beyond the domains, the Beyonder watches, not as a tyrant, but as an author writing his first page with ink made of realities. The multiverse no longer belongs to heroes or villains. It belongs to them, and so begins. The Age of the Beyond. If you've made it this far, you're part of something bigger. Stay tuned for our next stories, because this multiverse is just getting started.